Hello everyone, this is Evan from BlazikenTCG, and today guys, I'll be going over my top 5 picks for the Pittsburgh Regionals. So if I were going to Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania for the Regionals this weekend, these are the 5 decks. I would likely play one of these 5 decks. I'm not going to be at the Regional, I will be at Peoria though, but yeah, if I were going, I would be playing most likely one of these decks. So let's just get right into it. At number 5, so starting off with my number 5 pick, it would be Fusion Mew. I think Fusion Mew still has quite a bit of merit in this format. A lot of people thought it would have just fallen off because it has a bad matchup against Charizard EX, but I feel like a lot of people have started to realize that Charizard's maybe not as good as people initially thought it was, so that means that Mew VMAX kind of has a chance to creep back into the meta. So when playing this deck, You can play the 1/1 Excalibur line to kind of fix your bad matchup to Charizard. I don't know if it's worth it though. I think maybe just pure consistency might be the best way to go. This list that I've shown on the screen has Oricorio instead of Ice-Q. Both have some advantages to them. Ice-Q might be a bit better just so you can knock out the Spiritombs, but Oricorio also can help against something like the Mirror Match, where you want to make it a little bit harder for them to knock out your Mew VMAXs. I think that Mew VMAX still is a very good deck, has solid matchups across the board, however it has some bad matchups including Turbo Lost Box, Kyogre Lost Box, and Giratina V-Star. All of those decks are going to be uphill battles for you, so just pretty much try and dodge the Lost Zone decks if you're playing Mew VMAX, and you should be fine. Other than that, I think Mew VMAX is a very good deck in this format. At the number 4 spot, we have Giratina V-Star. I think Giratina V-Star is definitely probably BDIF in this format. However, the thing that worries me about this deck is if you get set up, you beat everything in the format, but getting set up is the problem. The problem with Giratina has always been consistency, so a lot of times it'll be harder for you to get set up. Sometimes you just draw out bad hands, sometimes you just dead draw. That's just part of the deck with Giratina V-Star. Lost Zone is already a very awkward deck to play, and Giratina also just has that 3/3 Giratina line that's not really going to be doing a whole lot when you're trying to set up. Abyss Seeking can be helpful, and I think that Jet Energy definitely makes this deck very, very good. You can use Jet Energy with Giratina to use Abyss Seeking, or you can use it to, it's also a good way to use 3 Flower Selects without using any item cards. So Giratina is definitely a very good deck. It definitely should be on your radar if you're going into Pittsburgh this weekend. But, yeah, I don't know if I would play Giratina just because of its consistency. That's the one thing I don't like about the deck. It's just, yeah, I think it probably is a bit better in a best-of-3 format like a Regionals, because if you brick one game, you still have 2 games to come back. But, yeah, I don't know if you would want to rely that much on Giratina V-Star at a big event like a Regionals, just because you can sometimes brick with the deck. At the number 3 spot, we have Kyogre Lost Box. So this is a deck that I'm very fond of. I played it to NAIC, and most recently, last weekend, I got first place at a league challenge going 4-0 with this deck. I think that it definitely is a very good deck still in this format. It's just, I feel like Iono, this deck can sometimes struggle against Iono, which is, or really just any hand disruption. Iono, Roxanne, Judge. This deck sometimes does fold to those hand disruption supporters because you have to play so many pieces that don't necessarily help you get set up in the early game, like Super Rod or Recycler. You have to commit so many pieces to the Kyogre in the late game that a lot of times it can make your early game kind of clunky. So sometimes you will just lose games because you get judged into a bad hand, or in the late game you might not be able to find the Kyogre pieces because of Iono or Roxanne. But regardless, I still think that this is definitely a very good deck. Much like Giratina, it can be awkward to play sometimes and can feel very clunky. So basically, if you can just run hot and hit good matchups the whole day, then this deck will certainly be a good deck, and it's something that you should definitely prepare for going into Pittsburgh. At the number 2 spot, we have Arceus Giratina. So this is a deck that I actually always have seen Arceus Giratina as being a bit underwhelming, to be honest, but I have tested it quite a bit in this format, and this deck has been testing very good. Judge Path and Iono Path really just shut down a lot of the best decks in the format. I don't know how I feel about the Superior in this deck. I don't know if it's necessary to play a Grass Attacker in Arceus Giratina because Charizard I don't expect to be all that popular going into Pittsburgh. And I feel like maybe the best way to play the deck would probably just be max consistency because Judge Path and Iono Path already are really good against Zard. But overall, I think Arceus Giratina, definitely a consistent deck. All you have to have happen turn 1 is place down Arceus V and attach to it. Now, if that does not happen turn 1, you basically lose the game. So, yeah, if you're worried about not having an energy and Arceus V in your opening hand, this might not be the deck for you because that absolutely has to happen for this deck to work. Otherwise, if that happens, then you're pretty much set for the whole game, and you can just spam Path, spam Judge, spam Iono, and that really just steals games against a lot of the best decks when limiting their hand down to 4 cards with Judge and turning off their abilities. A lot of decks just do not have a way to deal with that, which is why I think Arceus Giratina is the number 2 deck going into Pittsburgh. My number 1 choice would be Gardevoir EX. This deck is fire. I have been testing with it a lot, and I think that it is still definitely the BDIF. In my opinion, I think Gardevoir is still BDIF. A lot of people thought it would kind of see a decline in popularity because of Charizard EX having a really good matchup against Gardevoir, but the matchup is actually not quite as favored as people might think because the Gardevoir player can just spam Shining Arcana Gardevoir with reversal energies, which a lot of times is going to be tough for the Charizard player to deal with since Charizard is most of the time going to be attacking only with 2 prizers. So I think this deck is definitely the best deck going into Pittsburgh. Either that or Giratina. Those are the 2 decks that I would probably look out for the most. And I feel like double reversal energy, the kind of Tord build that he played at Worlds, I think that is the optimal build for now. Double reversal energies, I think is very, very powerful in this deck. However, the one thing I probably would change with Tord's build is I would add a worker because his deck just loses to quad path decks. If your opponent's playing 4 Path of the Beaks, you basically just lose the game because he only had 3 stadium bumps. With Worker, you at least have 4 because Worker can be recovered with Palpad. So I think Gardevoir, I think other than that, Tord's list is pretty perfect. And I probably, to be honest, if I was going to Pittsburgh, I might would just play Gardevoir just because I've been playing it a lot. I played it at 2 League Cups, and yeah. So there you have it, guys. Those are my top 5 picks for the Pittsburgh Regionals. If you like this video, please make sure to hit that like button and subscribe. And good luck to everyone going. I'll see you guys next time.